Is record start just now? Class was not recording. Just now we realized it. Okay, fine. It's fine. So till now we've seen about what is a load balancer and types of load balancer and what is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. So this gone without recording, but it's okay, fine. Like I'll explain this one more time at the end. Sir, coming to the load balancer here, there are 7 layers of OSI model. How many layers? So these 7 layers, the very first layer is physical layer. Second one, data. Third one, network, transport, session, presentation, and application. So this is how the 7 layers of OSI model is going to be work. But here we are not going to learn these 7 layers of OSI model. Why? Because we don't require it. I'm just telling that load balancer is completely working on these 7 layers of OSI model. If you ask me, application load balancer is going to work on 7th layer. What is 7th layer there? That means which type of protocols you can support here? HTTP, HTTPS, these type of protocols. Next, network load balancer is going to work on which layer? Third layer. So like that. And classic load balancer, which is the combination of both network and application. Basically, OSI system is not recommended to learn. I'm just telling load balancer is working based upon the OSI model. Okay. Just listen this. Like this all you need not to put on your brains. I'm just telling for your knowledge purpose only. Clear now? That's it. So now here I'm gonna tell you the real-time architecture, how the load balancer is going to work. So this is going to be very, very crucial. If you understand this architecture, you can be able to understand anything. So before I explain this concept, I would like to know one thing from your end. Do you know about 3-tier architecture? If you know 3-tier architecture, load balancer is somewhat of easy to understand for you. Let me draw that 3-tier architecture for you one more time. I think this is the class which I said on the very second day, right? If you remember. First not, day second, day 1 is demo. So let's take the 3-tier architecture. First one is my which server? No, I'm asking first server. Web server. Second one is application or app server. And third one, database server. Let's take it. So the concept is going to be very, very interesting now. So listen carefully. First one is my web server. Sir, what is the purpose of using web server, sir? To show application. Second one is going to be your app server. What is the purpose of using app server? To use the application, correct? Third one, DB server. So database server purpose is to store data. Fine. So I'll tell about the architecture now. If you remember, whenever a user send a request, for example, I am the user here. Let's take user 1, user 2, user 3, and user 4. Sir, whenever a user search anything, initially, first of all, this request is going to which server? Web server, correct or not? So now what exactly it is going to happen, like let's see, whenever these users are trying to access the application, it is how the application is going to work. Whenever we send the request directly, it will not go to the web server, sir. Why? Because before going to the web server, we are going to create a load balancer, which you can call as internet load balancer. Which load balancer it is? Let me write this. This load balancer is what you can call as internet LB. LB stands for load balancer. Which load balancer it is? So here, first user request, second user request, third user request, fourth user, and fifth user. I mean like 4 users only. These 4 requests are going to come to which load balancer? And one more point is, in real time already I said, we are going to use 2 servers, 2 web servers, 2 app servers, 2 database. Why? Because if one web server got deleted, you have second web server. If one application server got distracted, you have the second application server. So it is always recommended to create how many servers? So I am creating clone of this server. 2. Okay. Here also I am creating the clone for it. And even for database also, it is recommended to create the 2 servers only. Clear now? Sir, here first request is going to connect to the internet load balancer, and this internet load balancer will send the request to first server. And user 2 request is going to the server number 2. User 3 request again will go to server number 1. User 4 request will go to server number 2. So the very first point you need to understand is whenever a user send the request, is it going to the load balancer first or server first? What this load balancer is going to do? It is going to distribute the traffic, correct or not, sir? First user request will go to server number 1, second user request will go to again third user, fourth user. So this is what you can call as internet load balancer. Okay, sir, fine. So users are able to see the application, correct or not? Sir, whenever a user see the application, he want to use the application or not, sir? Then how it is going to work? Means from the web server, directly the request is going to which server now? App server, correct or not, sir? But before app server, we are going to have one more load balancer called as internal load balancer. What we are going to have? I'll tell about what is the meaning of internal load balancer. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of internal load balancer? Sorry? No. Basically, in interview, they are going to ask, like, whenever you are going with experience, no? If they ask you about load balancer, the first question you are going to face is, tell me the difference between internet load balancer and internal load balancer. Internet load balancer means the request which is coming from the internet, those kind of requests are going to the internet load balancer. And this load balancer is going to attach to the web server only. Which server, sir? Internet load balancer is going to attach for the web server. Sir, now web server is having how many requests, sir? 4 requests. First of all, 4 users are there. These 4 users send the request to internal load balancer, which is attached for my web server only. Now I have 2 web servers. All of these 2 web servers are having how many requests again? Sir, these 4 requests are again going for the internal load balancer, sir. Which load balancer? Request number 1, request number 2. Again, request number 3 and request number. Now this internal load balancer is going to distribute the traffic one more time. How many requests I have here? Request number 1 will go to server number 1. Request number 2 will go to server number. Again, request number 3, server number 1. Request number 4, server number 2. So this is the architecture you need to understand. Internal load balancer and internet load balancer are 2 different type of load balancers inside the elastic load balancer. Okay. Basically, elastic load balancer is classified into application load balancer, network load balancer, classic, and gateway. Again, in application load balancer, how many types we have? 2 types. First one is internet load balancer. Second one, internet load balancer is going to attach for which servers? And internal load balancer, app server. Whenever a user send a request, the request will go to first of all which load balancer, sir? Loudly, which one? From the internet, the request will go to. From the web server, again the request will go to internal. From the internal load balancer, again the request will go to. This is how the load will distribute. Lot of people, whenever you go for interview, right? So on experienced basis, you will tell that you worked on infrastructure. If you don't know how the load is distributing for infrastructure, they can easily caught you are not experienced guy. Okay. So this is the major clarity which you need to have your brain for the concept of load balancer. Now is the theory clear for all of you? Clear. Fine. So now here there is one more point you need to understand. That is what you can call as target. What we going to call it as? Target means single server. What is the meaning of target? So here I am writing here. And before that, like, sir, for a web server, we distribute the internet load balancer. For app server, again the load is going to distribute by internal load balancer. Then which load balancer we are going to use for load balancer? Data science. Data science load balancer. Okay, tell me which kind of load balancer we are going to use for database? Huh? Internal, sure. What about you? This side, guys. I'll answer Jepper. What about you? Huh? Classic. Okay. Basically, there is no load balancer for the database. So tell me one thing. What is the purpose of distributing data for the load balancer, sir? Database is going to access by the admins, like our internal organization only. Why we are going to allow user to access database? Are we going to allow user to access database? No. It will fetch the data, but we cannot attach load balancer for database. It is blunder mistake actually. I just asked the question to tell you like what you are going to explain me. But remember, for database, we cannot attach load balancer, sir. The reason for using load balancer is to distribute the load. Why we are going to allow our users to access the load balancer? Basically, we will not allow user to access the load balancer. This database. Database will send the data to the application server with the help of APIs. Okay. But we are never going to allow user to access the database. That means database don't have any kind of load balancer. If you tell that, you are out of the interview on the spot. Fine. Okay. So now here I'm going to tell you about what is the meaning of target. Target means here single server, which is having our application. What is the meaning of target, sir? What is the meaning of target group then? Multiple servers, which is having same application. For example, I have two servers. These two servers are having the same application. Individual server, I'm going to call it as target. If I group them together, then I could call it as target group. Fine. And here one more thing we need to know about is port, listener rule. For example, sir, if my application is working on Apache, what is the port number for Apache? 80. No. For Tomcat, it is 8080. Okay. If I create the Tomcat, that is 8080. But if I create only web server, that is 80 port number only. So now here we are going to define the rule like this. For example, if my application is running on port number 80, I need to give to the load balancer as port number 80 only. If my application is running on port number 81, I need to give listener rule as port number 81. If my application is running on port number 86, I need to give the listener rule as. Listener rule means your load balancer need to accept the request and that need to listen for which port. For example, if you want to call me, you need to have my number or not, sir? For example, my number is 1234567989. But if you call 1234567930, last one is missing or not, sir? That means you are not giving the accurate value. So you cannot contact me. Here also, whenever you are defining the listener rule, you need to tell to load balancer. My application is running on port number 80. So whenever the request will get, so please listen to the port number 80. Then only I'll be able to give the application response. If you don't listen to port number 80, then I cannot give it the response. If you call me correctly, I'll give you response. If you don't call me correctly, how can I give the response? Logic clear for you? So listener rule means we need to define here on which port our application is running. Listener rule means we need to define on which port our application is. Concept clear now? So this is the theoretical stuff. Before I go for the practical part, is the theoretical stuff clear for all of you? Sure. Let's recap one more time. First of all, whenever a user sends the request will go to first of all, which load balancer? Internal load balancer is going to attach to which servers? What is the purpose of using web server? So then, for example, first request will go to second request, again third request, fourth one. So remember, in real time, we have pair of servers, to web server, to app, to database. Why? Because that is called as high availability. High availability means more than one server. After web server is getting all the requests, again, how web server is going to send request to app servers? Via internal load balancer means load balancer which distribute traffic to the application servers. So like this, first web server request will go to first application server. Second web server request will go to second app server. Again, third, first, fourth. That's it. So then which load balancer we are going to use for database? No load balancer. Why? Because we are not going to give permission for the user to access the database. Fine then. Let's create this. Before that, sir, I'm going to create one EC2 instance. And remember, whenever you are working on real time, I said we are going to create two servers, right? Both servers we are not going to create on single availability zone, sir. First server I am going to create on availability zone 1. Second server I am going to create on availability zone 2. Why? Because if I create both of the servers on same availability zone, if something happened to the data center, entire collapse is going to happen or not, sir? For that purpose, I'll put one server on one availability zone, second server I'll put on second availability. We need to keep some distance. Okay, like that. So let's create the server number 1 here. And here I'm going to host my application. So server number 1, which I'm going to create on AP South 1A. Which region? Or even you can create on Northern Virginia as well. That's up to your choice. T2 macro is fine as of now. Keep pair. And give all traffic. So your server number 1 is ready now. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to open my mobile XTRM application. You know how to create your custom application, right? The help of W3 schools. Like I'm going to create some basic application with some front-end code. Of course, you can also use our Netflix code. We are we have done the application deployment of Netflix by using pipeline, right? You can also use that one. But for time saving, I'm using some static index.html page, sudo -i. Sir, like this, I'm going to create one more server, which is my server number 2. Server number 1 is on which region now? AP South 1B. So I'll rename it as server number 2 for my clarification. Server number 2. Now I'm going to create server number 1 on US East, sorry, AP North 1A. Now, meanwhile, how's your weekend? Good. You got some long weekend, right? 2 days. Basically, what you prefer to do on weekend? Don't tell practice. I won't believe that. Apart from practice, both traveling, exploring. What you explore? Good, good. Cinemas. Recently, like what are the cinemas we have, right? So everything is not good actually. Skanda utter flop. The very first time I went to a movie theater and I slept off actually. I never slept on movie theater basically, but when I'm watching the Skanda, right, I'm getting sleep actually. Sound BGM, huh? So horrible actually, if you ask me. And there is no physics at all. Boya sirs. Anti-gravity. What is the only positive of that movie? Of Skanda? Fights, huh? Fine here. So we are having two servers now. How many servers? I'm going to deploy the application on two servers. So I can use multi-execution mode, right? So let's install HTTPD. Tell me the command of installing HTTPD, sir. HTTPD installation. Yum install HTTPD-y. So HTTPD is service. What you are going to do after installing a service? Otherwise, it won't work, right? So go to CD. Sorry, not systemctl. So now you can check the status is for our satisfaction only. By anyways, it is going to start running, right? So now what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'll go to the path. What is the path for Apache, sir? Basic path cd var www create one index.html index dot. You can use our Netflix index.html or your custom index.html. So now what I'm going to use here. So just go to here. Create W3 skills login form. Why? Because for your clarity, I'm creating some small index.html page. W3 schools create a login form. So our one is forms with icons. Try it yourself. What I'm going to do is here, instead of registration form, I'm going to put here DevOps by Raham. It is the name of the application. What it is? Copy this one and just click on multi-paste. If you click on multi-paste, it is going to paste on the two servers. Sir, for my server one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put here DevOps by Raham 1. DevOps by Raham. Why? Because if we deploy the application, same application on two servers, if I want to show some practical for you, I need to have, this is my server 1, it is my server 2, right? So for your clarity, basically I'm going to put here server number 1. Why? Because if I don't give here server number 1, you cannot able to identify this request is gone to server number 1. Okay. Now save it. Same like here also, instead of here, I'm going to put it as server number 2. Let me exclude this one and put here server number 2. All right. Guys, this is for your clarity only. The reason why I'm giving numbers 1 and 2 means you will get the clarity later. Sir, now if you see both of the servers are having my application running or not, sir? So what I'm going to do is, for example, let's consider all of you are accessing server number 1 only. All of you are accessing server number. To get the logs, I'm going to give the command called tail command, which is going to show the live logs for you. Tail -100f /var log httpd access.log. If I give this now, I'm going to give an IP address. All of you try to access the IP address. I'll show you the live logs actually. It's my public IP address, right? All of you open your mobiles. Why? Because you need to see the live logs, how the load is going to get for the particular server. Online guys, you too need to access this application. I'm giving this IP address on your chat box here. Try to copy paste this on your instance. 13.234.14. Sir, are you getting load for only one server or not, sir? Second server is idle. Nobody is accessing it. Just check, all of you check. Like whatever it can be, I take the second server. It's fine. First or second. Getting the application or not, sir? Sir, here if you see all of you are trying to access only one particular server, that means load is increasing or not? For the server number 2, for example, I gave the IP address of server number 2. Server number 2 is having more load. Why? Because all of the users are accessing only server number 2. In that case, server number 2 can have the chances of crashing or not, sir? For that purpose, what we are doing, if you go to our architecture, in our architecture, you have server number 1 and server number 2. All of the users are accessing server number 1 or 2, like anything. Only one particular server you are targeting. So if you are targeting only one particular server, there is a chances of crash down in the server. For that purpose, what I'm going to implement now? Load balancer. Which load balancer? So let's create the load balancer. Sir, how to create the load balancer means it is very easy. It will take only 2 minutes of time. How many minutes? Go to here services, like inside only here, you can see something called as load balancers. So we need to select here, click on load balancer. You know already automation process. We have seen on KOps. So application load balancer, click on create. Load balancer name is I'm giving here DevOps Veraham. Okay. Sir, here I am sending the traffic to web server only. Which server? That means here I want to select which load balancer now. Internet facing or internal? Why internet facing? Because web server is going to accept the traffic from internet only. So we need to give the internet facing. If I want to distribute the load to application server, which load balancer I want to select now? Clear now? Fine. Next here, IP address. Sir, is our server having IPv4 only or not, sir? If you use IPv6, you can apply here dual stack. Dual stack means it is going to support both IPv4 as well as IPv6. I'm going to give you here IPv4 only. Sir, your servers is on default VPC only. Basically, VPC is some separate topic, which I'm going to tell you on upcoming sessions. So here you are having the VPC. In this VPC, your servers are running on AP South 1A and AP South 1B. Select this both servers. Security group, we need to give all traffic. Why? Because in default, we don't have 80 port number, right? If 80 port number is not open, how can you access the application? Can't. So here come the hero, listener and routing. Sir, your protocol is which protocol? Why HTTP means if you go and see the application here, let me show you. Where is the application? What is the IP address? Tell me 13 dot? 234.17.78.14. If you see here, no log. That means here HTTP protocol. Which protocol? If you want me to show it lively, if you go and see now. Oh, sorry. So here, click on the text here. Sir, which kind of protocol it is? So I need to select here HTTP only. If you go to the load balance here, which one I need to select now? Why? Because my application running on HTTP. Why? Because I don't have SSL now. If I install the SSL certificate here, okay, then I need to select the HTTPS now. But as of now, I'm not using SSL, so I need to select the. And your application is running on which port number, sir? Web server always 80. Okay, that is a default port number which you need to fix on your brains. Sir, now target group. How many servers I have? I want to distribute load for 2 servers or not? I need to make them as group or not, sir? For that purpose, I'm going to create target group. Basically, by default, I don't have any kind of target group, sir. Click on create target group. Instances. Why? Because my targets are servers only, right? I need to select here target as server and target group name. I'm going to give it as target group 1. For target group, which port number we need to give again? Y80. Web server and HTTP. Why HTTP? We don't have SSL certificate. So like that. And again, VPC is default VPC. HTTP 1 protocol I'm using as of now. There are some health checks. Health check means I'll explain it practically after creating. That's it, sir. Click on next. These are the 2 servers I want to distribute the load. Select these 2 servers. Click on include as pending below. And one more thing guys here, I forgot to change the security group for server number 1. Here default is running. Basically, I forgot to select all traffic there. So I need to change it as all traffic later. Not now, I'll change it later, okay? Click on create target group. Is your target group ready now? Go here, click on drop down. It won't appear. Why? Because we need to refresh this one. The moment if you refresh, are you seeing target group 1 now? That's it, sir. Now you can click on create load balancer. It is a summary. It is summary like what you have given it. If I click on create load balancer, is load balancer creating or not, sir? But I'm not going to click on create load balancer. Why? Because second time also I'm going to show you the same. Because one time I'll never show, right? Let's go it first, second time. Now you tell me the process. First of all, create load balancer. ALB stand for application load balancer. Load balancer name, DevOps by Raham. And scheme, why internet? Because it is web server. And like if it is app server, we need to select internal. So then here like IPv4 is my server and VPC is default VPC only. And which availability zones? 1A, 1B. So now here security groups I want to select. And now listener rule, HTTP, why HTTP? There is no SL cert. And port number, why 80? Web server port number is 80. If it is app server, Apache Tomcat. Web server means 80, app server means 8080. Target group, what is the meaning of target group exactly? Group of servers which is having the same application. How to create target group? Click on create target group. Instance, target group name is, I'm going to give it as TG2 or 1. Again, HTTP and 80. Click on next. Here you need to click on both. Click and include as pending below. So click on create target group, but I'm not going to create. Why? Because I already have the existing target group. Now directly if you click on drop down, it won't appear. So you need to click on drop down now. That's it, sir. Now click on load balancer. Your load balancer is going to ready within 2 minutes. How many minutes? So wait for 2 minutes. In the meanwhile, I forgot to give the all traffic for server number 1. I'm gonna change it. Security. Select this security group. You can modify the security group. Click on actions. You can edit inbound, outbound rules here. But instead of that one, you can attach one more security group as well. How to means server number 1, actions. Here, are you seeing security? Change security group. Of course, you can change like this. Click on remove this one. All. Save. Sorry, add security group. Click on save. Now wait for 2 minutes. In the 2 minutes, your security, elastic load balancer is going to ready now. Currently it is on which state? So wait until it is active. But in the meanwhile, is the process clear for all of you how to create load balancer? All of you. What about you online? Is the process clear for everyone how to create a load balancer? Can you please confirm me on chat? Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you for all of your response. And like one more thing in the meanwhile, do you know about Startup India's? Startup India. Don't know. Okay, I'll tell you like remind me at the end. I'll tell you about Startup India's actually. Hmm? Small startup. So now is it active now? So now what I'm going to do is, if I copy this DNS name, if I hit here, in the meanwhile, I'll show you the command here. So what it is, currently these are having equal logs. These two are. Now what I'm going to do is, if I give this one, like let me minimize this one. I'll make it side by side. Sir, if I click on enter, my request is going to which load balancer now? 2. If I click on refresh, it will go to server number again 2, again 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. It is equally distributing the load or not, sir? Even if you see the logs, logs are getting equal logs for server number 1, log number 1, server number 2, log number 2. It is going to distribute the load equally. If you want me to show it, so online, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this DNS for all of you. Access this DNS and tell me you are able to get which application, like which server. All of you click on that DNS here and tell me which application, I mean which server you are able to access. Ping me there. If it is server number 2, ping 2. If it is server number 1, ping 1. All of you. Why? Because if you ping it here, they are going to get the clarity. Are you seeing, guys? Logs are distributing equally. This is how to distribute the load actually. If you want me to show, see, our online guys are getting, see, 2, 1, again 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, both 1 and 2 means you have to click it double, Kiran. Okay, you click on refresh, you'll get both. Is it clear, sir? So this is the way how you're gonna see the load balance of the server, and even you can check the metrics as well. So online, stop accessing the server. I'll tell you one more concept. If you want to see the live metrics, how much load is getting for each server, there is a command called top command. Which command? But apart from top, I'll use htop command, yum install htop -y. It is going to show the live metrics, like what is the CPU and memory consumption of the servers actually. The moment if I give htop now, online, try to access the DNS one more time. Whatever the DNS I have gave, right? So try to access the DNS. Now you can see the load average, sir. Are you getting the CPU and memory consumption here? So server number 1 is having load of 98.9, but server number 2 is having the load of 118. And CPU percentage both are on idle stage. If you see 1.3 for server number 1. And what is the maximum CPU for server number 2? If you see here, 0.7 consumption only. Online, if you try to access all at a single time, here the load is going to increase actually. Initially, if you see, the memory and CPU utilization of server number 2 is high. Why? Because initially I asked everyone to access server number 2 only. Okay. That is the reason server number 2 is getting more load initially, but not now. Are you seeing the load average here? Here load average is almost 0.05, but here 0.03 only. So this is how you can get the metrics of our live server in real time as well. Whenever you want to see the CPU consumption and memory consumption of a server. So basically we use the command called htop command. Which command? Which is going to show the live metrics for your server. Is it clear, sir? For as of you know, initially it was 118 MB. Now it came to 114 MB. After a few time, it is going to get 98 point here and 98 point here. Like both are going to have the same load after few time, like few minutes later. If you want to stop it, just to give Q. If you give Q, it is going to disappear. What is the command we are going to check the metrics? But you need to install yum install htop -y. That is going to install htop. Otherwise, this command is not going to work for you. Clear now? So this is how to distribute the load for 2 servers by using the concept called load balancer. Which one? Now have you got the clarity of load balancer? All of you. Fine. But my requirement is I'll ask you to do one more activity, sir. Currently you are having 2 servers. How many servers? These 2 servers are handling the request as of now. But in future, for example, I'm getting 2 lakh requests, which is going to handle by 2 servers only. But if I get 3 lakh requests, servers are not able to handle. What I want to do? I want to scale it, correct or not? You can do it auto scaling, but I'll show you manual here. Why? Because auto scaling we have already seen on the KOps concept. Here, I'm going to tell you how to add one more server and how to distribute the traffic for new server. First of all, click on instance, launch instance here. Try to create the server called server number 3 and try to use the same application. Sir, server number 3, I want to create on which availability zone now? 1C, 1A, 1B are already occupied. So we are going to use here 1C. Click on edit. So here we need to click on subnet preference 1C. Yeah, here it is. Security group. All. So now your server is 1 second. Basically here, remember guys, one thing for AP South 1C, some instance types are not going to be available. The selected instance type is not supported for the zone AP South 1C. So what I'm going to use, T2 Nano I'm going to use. I don't think so Nano is also going to support. No. T2 large, how about, man. This is a basically issue like this is not going to work. T3 small, can we use it? T3 small is able to work here, but it is not free. Why? Because 2 CPUs and 2 GB of RAM is going to. But for practical, we can use it. Why? Because we are going to sit only for 10 minutes, right? That's it. Now your server is ready. So what you're gonna do? You are going to create again the same index.html. Already I have the index.html on these servers, right? I can do copy paste here. So give the command cat index.html and copy paste the whole thing. But before that, let's connect to your server. Click on connect and click on SH client. Yum install httpd-y. Now meanwhile, I'll copy the content from here. So now here I need to replace it as server number 1 as server number. Why? Because if I don't replace, you are not going to get the clarity, right? Same applications. You need to know in which application you are getting the request. 3. So now what I'm going to do is, sir, here I have the new server. This new server, how I'm going to attach to the load balancer means, first of all, I'll click on the load balancer. Click on your load balancer. Here, if you go and see, there is something called as network mapping. I'll come to this later. But before that, go for your target group. In target group, we need to attach our new server or not, sir? Click on this one. So click on targets. Are you seeing register target here? Register target means select the new target. Server number. Click on include as pending below. Click on target group. Correct or not, sir? Total number of targets are 3. Healthy targets are unhealthy, unused. Sir, why it is unused one means like what you are going to tell. If I try to go here, if I click on refresh, it will be on unused only. It won't come to active and healthy state. Why? Because there is some concept called whenever you go for the load balancer in network mapping, network and mapping, how many availability zones we selected previously? 2 only, right? Here you have only AP South 1A and AP South. Is there any AP South 1C, sir? If there is no AP South 1C, how it is going to accept my server number 3? Correct or not? Here I'm going to click on edit subnets now. Select on AP South. Once now done. If you go to the target group now, it will be on healthy status now. Currently which status? Healthy. If you don't allow your subnet, it is not going to acceptable. Okay, whenever you are going to add the new server for your existing load balancer, first thing we are going to give subnet. In your load balancer, go to subnets and network. There you are going to click on edit subnet. You can add your new subnet now. Now it is going to be on which state now? That's it, sir. Now if you go and click on load balancer, previously it is going to serve for 1, 2 only, but it is going to serve for server number 3 as well. Serving or not? 2, 1. Again 1, 3, 1, 3, 2. Are you getting the request for server number 3 also or not, sir? So now this is also going to serve my request. This is the way how to attach the new server for the existing load balancer. Is the concept clear for you know? Why I'm attaching means, for example, currently I'm having 3 lakh users. So I use the server number 3. In future, 3 lakh users are not using my application. Again, it came to 2 lakhs users only. Then do I have any use of it? Then what I'm going to do is go to here, click on the server number 3. Are you seeing deregister? The moment if you click on deregister, it won't serve you the application now. If you go and check now, request is going for server number 1, 2. Again 1, 2. Is it going for server number 3? Why it is not going, sir? Because I said that load balancer. Currently you are having only 2 lakh requests. Server number 3 is not useful for me. So remove that one. Server number 3 is removed now from the load balancer. It cannot able to distribute the load. Now again, if I want to attach, click on register target. Click on server number 3. Include as pending below. That's it. Now again, you can get the server number 3. Wait, currently it is on which state? Initializing. It will take some time. Wait. Done now? Go and click on refresh. Is it accepting server number 3 again? So this is the way how to play with the load balancers. If you want it, register. If you don't want it, deregister. But in real time, the servers are going to create automatically and the load is going to distribute automatically. Why? Because there we are going to have something called as ASG, auto scaling group, which we have seen on KOps already, if you remember. If you create one auto scaling group, right, we are going to select one metric. If my CPU utilization is more than 70%, automatically new server will create. What is going to create? New server. So like that, I'm going to set one CPU value. For example, if my server is reaching almost 70% of CPU, it is going to create the new server automatically and the application is going to distribute the traffic parallelly. Clear now? So that's it about the load balancer. And before that one, here you need to understand one more thing called as health checkups. Are you seeing the health checks here? Protocol, we are using HTTP. Why? Because we don't have SSL cert. Here, if we go for load balancer as well, are you seeing HTTP or HTTPS? Why HTTP? There is no log symbol. So now here, first of all, you need to understand what is the meaning of healthy threshold. For example, sir, user number 1 send the request. User number 2 send the request. 3, 4, 5. Like this, 5 users send the request. All of the 5 users are able to access the application. All of the 5 users are able to access that is called as healthy. User number 1 send the request. Again, user number 2 also send the request. Within the 5 seconds, they are not getting the response, sir. Then load balancer is unhealthy. Timeout means if I send a request, if I'm not getting the response within 5 seconds, that is called as one timeout. What we can call it as? Like that, parallelly, if I get 2 timeouts without getting the application, I get 2 timeouts. Application is not accessing. Then I can consider my application as unhealthy. Interval. What is the interval means? For first checkup and second checkup, the time gap must be 30 seconds. Success code 200 means application is able to access. Application is able to what? Access. Again, if you want to change the values, click on edit. advanced. I want my unhealthy threshold to raise the number 4. In the timeout seconds, I'm going to make it as 10 seconds. How many seconds? Approximate. For each interval, I'm putting the time of 37 seconds. Click on save changes. Now, 5 times, if I get the request from application, like response from application, it is healthy. 4 times parallel, it is going to fail. It is unhealthy. Timeout, how much time I have given here? That means if user send a request, within 10 seconds, he is not getting the response. That is what you can call as timeout. An interval, 37 seconds. Of course, in real time, we can customize our values. So depends upon your application, we can customize your values there. So this is how the load balancer is going to work for you. Is the concept clear, sir? Now what you are going to do is open your mobiles and take this picture. Why? Because it is very important for all of you. Why? Because in this single picture, your entire load balancer is there. So now before going for doubts and queries, is the load balancer concept clear for everyone here? Creating of load balancers to scaling the load balancer. What about you online? Is the load balancer clear for all of you? Can you please confirm in chat once? Okay, great. In real time, we work on AWS also. AWS only. Depends. Some clouds, some people will use GCP cloud. Some people will use like Azure. Depends. But wherever you go, load balance is always going to load balancer only. Have you taken the picture of this? Fine. So history. Yeah. Basically, we don't have any history, right? Okay. History means if I type history, like see, it is going to get like this. History. Installing HTTPD, starting it, go to var www.html and create the index.html. Okay, take the snip of this one as well. Why? Because this process already all of you know, right? So no need to describe one more time, but even if you want, like, take it. Notes you want. Have I given AWS docs? In AWS docs, I have given. Like if you open the load balancer now. And one more thing, guys, in the document, you have a lot of theory. All of the theory I explained here on practical point of view. Don't consider like I haven't explained the theory. Theory I explained with the help of diagrammatical format in an easy way. So here you can see. Okay. And one more thing, this I created for what you call practical, but this I create for which one? For RDP. Okay. Not for your EC2 servers. These are like Linux servers, not. These are your Windows servers. Guys, here I have given for Windows servers, but you can do it on Linux servers. Okay, the difference between Windows and Linux, you know. So, okay, this is for the Windows servers. You need to do it on Linux, but from load balancer, everything is going to be common here. Okay. Have I given AWS docs for you? Okay, I'm gonna give it. No, wait. In your Google Classroom, I'm gonna give all the AWS docs at a single time. Give me 1 second. Classwork, it's not for you. 10:45, where it is. Yeah. Materials, all AWS docs. Before that, let me migrate all of the AWS docs. Roham. Guys, here all the AWS documents I'm going to upload on single place only. You can find all the documents here. That's it. So now like any doubts or any queries in today's class, you can ask me if you have. Auto scaling group you want? Huh? Basically that we covered on KOps, but if you want, I'll cover one more time. But not now. Why? Because we have only 10 minutes time now. I'll cover it. Even though it is not required, but for your clarity, I'll cover it. Sir, please give me previous class notes. Prometheus Grafana, like basically notes I haven't prepared. I have the direct document only. I have given some script, right? Directly user script. If I get some time getting error in SonarQube, lab mentors are not able to solve it. Basically, like there is some dependency issue like Asit, I'll tell them like how to resolve. How are we differentiating EC2 instance we created web server and are not app servers? If you install HTTPD port number 80, that is web server. If you install Tomcat with port number 8080, that is called as app server. That is very small thing actually. I hope it is clear for you who was, yeah, Kiran, fine. So then still any doubts or any queries?